as I broadcast this, or not, I'm not broadcasting anything. I'm just recording something. So, revealing the full truth here. No embellishments. As I'm recording this, it is 12:46 p.m. Eastern time. So I think that means that for a significant portion of the world, it's already 2024. And it's encroaching like a dark cloud. It's getting closer and closer and closer. 2024. It's like a horror movie. Yes, I want to talk for a moment about that. Now, I wrote a piece for my Substack page, and you can find it. I put a link to it here on my YouTube, both of my YouTube channels, both my main channel and my backup channel, about the the transition to 2024 and the apprehension, if not terror, that many seem to have about the year that we are being dragged, kicking and screaming and clawing and shouting and crying and weeping and moaning into. We're gonna go there. Time is inexorable. Time marches forward. We can't hold back that which is inevitable. The turning of the earth, if you believe in the Copernican model, but whatever. If you don't, then phrase it some other way. In any case, the passage of time happens. So it's almost 2024, and I've never had the experience of people just not wanting this year to end, not wanting the current year to end, not because the current year is so great, mind you. I mean, 2023 sucks. It pretty much sucks in every way. I mean, everything is relative. I mean, it could always be worse. And you still have a home, you still have food to eat, and you're still living in an affluent nation for the most part. So count your blessings and all that. Don't get me wrong, but as far as the way things feel, the psychic reverberations that are most prominent right now, the psychic and spiritual vibrations in the air. I'm saying things in a very flaky sounding way, but I think you get what I'm talking about here. Let me give you something else to look at. Those things, people really fear what's going to happen in 2024, and of course most of it revolves around politics. 2024 is an election year, a presidential election year. It's bound to be, like I said, a flaming shit show. And who knows? Maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll just fizzle, and the controversy won't amount to much, and there won't be martial law won't have to be declared, and we'll link arms and determine ourselves to be brethren of the one true God, regardless of political affiliation. And the 2024 election will end with us all being united, and with a new purpose as Americans. But I don't think that's what's going to happen, and nobody else does either. Nobody sensible thinks that's going to happen, regardless of the outcome. We know it's going to be a shit show. And the problem is for the rest of the world, I think there was a time when American elections didn't really matter that much to the rest of the world. They didn't really, they maybe noticed what was going on in America a little bit, but you can't get away from presidential elections other places in the world. I remember when I was in South Africa in December 2011, and just hanging out with some people down there, and they were all they were all into what was the then state of the 2012 election. Like, who's going to be the Republican nominee? What do you think, Andy? You're an American. Is Newt Gingrich gonna? He's kind of made a resurgence. Is he going to be the candidate, or is it going to be some other nondescript person? That was not 2012 was not nearly so fraught of a year presidential election wise. Just like pre-Trump, the presidential election hype and fervor and level of controversy and full release of bad vibes and horrific psychic reverberations. None of that really kicked into high gear before Trump entered the political scene. And I'm not blaming it on Trump. I'm saying he was the occasion of it. He was the occasion for it. He was the catalyst. And, it was the way that they reacted to him that set everything going in the direction that it's going right now. So what's going to happen in 2024? I don't, I'm just going to batten down the hatches and, I don't want to sound, let me rephrase that, because I don't want to make it sound like, it's a catastrophe on the horizon. I'm not into that fear-mongering trip. Okay. I don't dig it. I just don't dig that fear, that be fearful. They want you to be fearful. You have to resist that. So when I say batten down the hatches, I don't mean preparing for, a massive storm to wreck everything, or, a 2,000-foot tidal wave to come, a meteor to come to crash into the Atlantic, and then a massive tsunami to wipe out the entire country, like in some disaster movie from the 90s. But I do mean I'm going to take custody of my senses, take custody of what I see, what I hear, what I take in, what I imbibe, because all of that has an effect on you. And I've said this before. I don't want to be tiresome in preaching this, but it really is important. If you see something, if you come across a news story and it looks interesting, but then you think to yourself, man, this is really going to depress me, or this is really going to make me angry, and it's going to be the kind of anger where I don't really have an outlet for it. It's just going to make that anger linger, because there's some things you can't control. And most of the shit that's going to happen in 2024 is just what you can't control it. You can't make it be otherwise. It's going to be what it is, whether or not you're there, whether or not you feel whatever way you happen to feel about it. So what do you do? I mean, I'm not saying be apathetic, but I am saying take custody of, you know, your senses and habituate yourself to a routine that is calculated to maximize harmony, inner harmony. Okay. I don't even know exactly what inner harmony means. Like, this is a physician heal thyself kind of moment. This is me more talking to myself than preaching to any of y'all. Honestly, this is just what I intend to do. And it relates to what I was talking about yesterday. You know, one of the things that, you know, the idea there's nothing there. I'm not a conservative because there's nothing to conserve. Well, that's just because what you're paying attention to are it's all of the doom porn. It's all of the outrage porn. And don't get me wrong, there are things to be outraged by. Plenty of things, you know. But one mustn't lose one's bearings utterly. You know, there is plenty of that, and in fact, the people who are steering the ship, of state, are people who want us who are looking out for an iceberg to wreck us on. I mean, that's that's who they are. You know, I never thought about it that way. I never put it to myself that way. But when you think about it, when you do think about it that way, there's a lot of truth to it. You're on a ship, and you don't trust the captain. The captain does not have your best interests at heart. The captain, you know, wants the rest of you to suffer and die while he and his high-placed cronies, you know, sneak away to some luxurious lifeboat, you know, some lifeboat that's not just a little thing floating on the water, but something that, you know, some massive, maybe like a big luxurious submarine with technology beyond our comprehension. That's what they're all going to escape to. That's what they're going to when they go and when they bug out. They bring their bug out, their bug out ensemble with them after they've successfully crashed this Titanic that is the United States into the iceberg that is 2024. I don't know. I'm making this all up as I go along here. You know, that's maybe what they have in store. But take custody of your eyes and ears. That's as simple as that. Take custody of your senses. And usually when you hear people talk that way, it's like about avoiding pornography. Taking custody means don't look at that you know, picture of the bikini-clad woman on the beach. It's supposed to set your senses aflame. Don't watch that movie. You know, don't you know, take custody. You know, avert your eyes. Avoid these things because they will lead you to where you don't want to be. Same applies here, just in a different sort of way. I'll wrap things up by talking also about something that I think is interesting and ironic, and that is when I remember back the final days of the year 2020. Remember that? Remember how everyone was saying, "Thank God," it's almost the end of 2020. Thank God. And everyone was saying it. What struck me at the time was everyone was saying it. And, you know, including all of the fuckheads who made 2020 so awful. So all of the people promoting all the misery in 2020, all of the COVID tyrants, the COVID Karens, you know, all of the silence is violence, you know, mostly peaceful protests / riots, you know, all of the people promoting all of those terrible um, notions and ideas in 2020, even they were saying, man, 2020 sure has been one shit show of a year, you know. And boy, I'm sure glad to be escaping it. It's gonna be so nice to leave. I was like, motherfucker, what? Say what? you your ass mate was the one that made 2020 so miserable for the rest of us. So you don't get to put on this, oh, woe is me, I'm living in 2020. The reason why 2020 has has the stain on it that it has is because of the likes of you, you know. And I'm not naming names here, but you know who I'm talking about. You know the sort of people I'm talking about. The the ones who were pushing all of these things. The ones who were screaming at you to stay at home, screaming at you to cover your nose, screaming at you that white people are evil, and whatever else was going on in that year. Um, so 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 a tale of two New Years. 2020 was a New Year's Eve of 2020 was like, thank God this fucking year is ending. New Year's Eve of 2023 is like, oh no, 2024 is coming. And that's where we're at, folks. See you next year.